But every time my thinking was expanded, what I earned stepped up. And it wasn't immediate, it wasn't straight away, but it was like I needed to realize something was a possibility before I could make it happen. Everything I thought was true in life was just a perception. It was just based on my small window of things that I had seen in my life up to that date. Hi, I'm Beki Eakins, business mindset and lifestyle coach for occupational therapists. I focus on creating a freedom-based online business, helping OTs to package up their skills in unique and exciting offers that feel so good that they sell with ease in the online space. Since leaving the profession of OT, I have now worked with hundreds of clients online, helping them to create a life they feel inspired by. In this podcast, I will talk about the lifestyle goals, mindset, and strategy you need to create your own life of freedom. I like to think of myself as a hope giver. I've always been an eternal optimist, and I've got oodles of energy to follow my dreams and have a high belief that I will get what I want in life. It's reported that if you think you will be lucky, you will be lucky. I know Denise Duffield-Thomas talks about this in her books. And if you haven't come across her books, they're well worth a read. She's an Australian money mindset coach. But yeah, so this idea that if you think you're lucky, you attract in more luck is something that I love to know about. And over the years, many of my dreams have come true. As a little girl, I really wanted my grandma's big house. It was such a quirky, unusual house. It was individually designed by an architect, and it was way bigger than I could have afforded, actually, because it was my first house. And for some strange reason, it was like this weird twist of fate that it not only ended up being the house we got, but it also presented itself in this unusual way where it was the only home we could afford to buy at the time. So it just blew my mind because my dream as a little girl just came true in such an unexpected way. And there's just been many, many occasions like that where I've wanted something and it's just felt completely unreachable, as if it's an impossibility, like it looks like a brick wall, a dead end to me. But for whatever reason, I've maybe still held on to the belief. And the thing that seemed impossible then became my reality. So I decided to label myself as a lucky person. And since I've read about how good that label is, I insist on doing it more. I like to introduce myself. Oh, yes, I'm very lucky. Because I just think that helps. But sometimes what I find is that I meet people who try and put my sparkle out. They take my dreams and they trample on them. And if I'm in conversation with a hope slayer, they will point out every negative and impossibility about my ideas. Now, that's absolutely fine because there've always got to be people who can see every pitfall. They've got good points. But somehow my stubborn belief that I can get what I want and my ability to push past the hope slayers has always led to good results, magical results in many ways. And it's maybe not exactly as I thought it would go. In fact, very often it doesn't go the exact way I planned it or thought it would go, but I get the same result or something even better. And it just seems to appear. So as a coach and mentor for others, I love to sprinkle hope for them too, because if we don't aim high, we're not even going to reach close to that. So, for example, in monetary terms, the first time I heard about an occupational therapist could make $5,000 a month, it blew my mind. That was it was a while back when, as a full-time OT in the UK on a band 6, I think I was coming out with around about 2,000 per month. So 5,000 just seemed like a massive jump. I had no idea that people could make that. I know internationally OTs do, but in the UK, I just thought, no, it's just not possible. And just to clarify, that means how much you actually bring in each month. And then I heard about 10K months. And at first it seemed like an impossibility. I was like, wow, who are these people? And then I heard about the idea of a 10K day. And I was like, oh, wow, I never even thought about that being a possibility or a reality. But every time my thinking was expanded, what I earned stepped up. And it wasn't immediate, it wasn't straight away, but it was like I needed to realize something was a possibility before I could make it happen. And interestingly, when I heard about the 10K day, I immediately added it to my morning gratitude. And within a week, I think it was, I'd received my first 10K day. It was as if I didn't know it was a reality. And as soon as I realized it was a possibility, it just happened. So I set my intention and then it happened. And I honestly think it would not have happened if I didn't first have my eyes open by somebody else. And so that's what I see with most OTs. They come to me and they say they want to earn 2K or 3K per month. Occasionally, people might say they want to make 5K or 10K per month, but most OTs have no idea that they can expand their reality in much bigger ways. I hear about the safety and security of a good pension and annual leave and all the perks of being employed. And they're real benefits, health insurance, those kind of things. And I remember feeling this myself. But when I was in the NHS, I had no idea how small my wage was in comparison to what I could earn on the outside world. So the higher income, of course, means I can choose to invest and choose to save in ways that I never did while I was working in the NHS, just because of the higher income. So it transformed my thinking. But it wouldn't have happened if I wasn't first aware that it was possible. So we live in a reality where we think what we think is our limit. And our limits are set, they're self-imposed, and they're very often set by our expectations, the things that have been said to us in childhood, the way we perceive that other people manage things. And it's only when our eyes are open to the other possibility that we start to question our thoughts. Oh, are these real limits, or are they just in our head? And it's a really difficult one to get our head around. And I find it a constant challenge that everything I thought was true in life was just a perception. It was just based on my small window of things that I had seen in my life up to that date. And anything that I'm not comfortable with, that I don't like, any limits that I think, not keen on this, I can open my eyes up to different realities. And there have been so many periods in life where I felt stuck, and I really thought I'd reached a complete, literal dead end. But when I started working on my own personal development, I just surprised myself over and over again that they were just limiting beliefs. They were just thoughts. And actually, there is a way out of this thing. I don't have to do what I always thought I had to do. I recorded a mindset meditation, one that you can do overnight. Very powerful in terms of helping you create the confidence, the self-belief, and deal with any money mindset issues I use these kind of overnight meditations all the time. I found them incredibly powerful. So I've created a very special one, and I'm giving it for free to all of my podcast listeners. You can download it on the show notes. So my role as a hope giver is a beautiful job, I have to say. I support, encourage, and motivate people using my oodles of natural motivation just to provide others with an energy boost. And I love it when clients say that they feel energized after the call, because that's exactly how I want them to feel. But some people are not ready to receive this message. So they might find it hard to hear. They might be playing the comparison game. They might have a negative self-talk. So if they see others who are successful, it can make them feel worse because their internal self-talk is detrimental. And this is maybe because they're playing the comparison game. It could be because they haven't yet built the resilience and self-worth to be able to look to others for inspiration, but not be dragged down by the comparison. In the early days, I remember that when I was looking to others for inspiration, I could only follow them for a very short period of time because I couldn't cope with looking at their success. I just needed to hold on to my own path. So I remember feeling this myself at some stage, that I would just dip in and have to dip back out again. I liked to know what was possible, but I also couldn't cope with the fact that I wasn't that good at that time, or I hadn't achieved that yet. So some people will find being told, for example, that they can make a certain income or that they can create a life of freedom, it just makes them mad. It frustrates them and makes them feel like a failure because they're focused on what they haven't got. So the more I talk about what's possible, the worse they can feel about themselves. And it makes them look at their own life next to this high bar. And, they're not looking at all the good things they've got that are different. They're just judging themselves in this one way. And with a negative self-talk, it can just massively affect the confidence. So I'm aware of that. And I often question, should I stop in my mission of being a hope giver? I'm always open to feedback. I love speaking to people about these kind of deeper issues. So I'd love to hear your thoughts on this, because I know this is a subject that people feel hot about. So from what I know about quantum leaping, I know that you create a reality that you expect. And if you expect business to be hard, difficult, take a long time, this is how it's going to be. And unfortunately, for most people, these aren't your first level of thoughts. These are the deep-rooted subconscious beliefs, and you're not always aware that you have these beliefs. That's where it gets tricky, because you can't always identify them. Often I can hear them when people are talking, but it's sometimes hard to identify those beliefs yourself. But by being a hope giver, I really want to show people another reality. I share the truths, but also the wins. So I like to expand your vision for your future and show you what is possible if you want. And it's certainly not easy just to create big changes in life. It does take work. And I think you have to be realistic about that. So many times over, I see people start creating a business, but they're immediately knocked off their perch when the first big issue occurs. So maybe it's that they don't find it as easy to sell as they thought. Maybe it's a complaint against them or a refund request. I've seen over and over again that people want to have the perks of a social media business, the freedom of a social media business, but they're not willing to put their time in because of their strong boundaries around it. and so they won't put the time or effort into those kind of things. And it's not always going to work like that. Creating a big change in life, it takes a big change. So it's going to take some digging deep in mindset and personal growth. There's going to be moments when you feel so out of your comfort zone, and you just literally have to take a deep breath and just go for it. And there's going to be times when you realize that you've got a personal block and you know where it comes from. It's the one thing you don't want to deal with. So please, I'll deal with anything, but just not that. I can remember just saying that to myself many times. I know this is the issue, but I just don't want to go there. Really, please. And it's being willing to deal with these really uncomfortable things that will accelerate your growth. Being comfortable with the uncomfortable, being willing to push through these challenges and face the truth head on. So that's the hard work. When people ask how hard it is to create a business, it's possible to create a business in 10 hours a week. It's possible to create a big business in 20 hours a week. It doesn't mean that you have to work hard in that sense. You need to make sure that you're prioritizing daily action and being really focused, and that takes commitment. And I'll talk about that in another offer. But the real work is that willingness to deal with the uncomfortable things and to push yourself forwards when you don't feel like it, and to push through when you're not feeling your best energetically, and to really deal with those things that you've perhaps wanted to push into a corner for a long time. But yeah, so many people want to have a business, they want to create change, but they're just unwilling to do some of this very unsexy work that's required to get results. And I guess it's just for me to be honest about that is the commitment to create change. Just take that. So I created my new reality, the latest dream. So I had my 3 months in Australia, which was fantastic. But while I was there, I needed to get a new home to live in. And I wanted to live in a big house in the North Wales countryside. After traveling, my daughter was craving stability. And she wanted to go to a school, which is very new because my kids have been kind of unschooled and world schooled for most of their life. So I was looking for somewhere beautiful, somewhere which made me feel like I was on holiday, but would actually be a stable base for her. And we managed to get this big house with a conservatory that's got panoramic views that literally most people gasp when they walk in. It's so stunning. And we've got open fires, a gym, masses of parking. Parking was on my list because I can't parallel park. I never mastered it. I just need a big open space. So I've got this big open space for parking, which is just exactly as I would have wanted. And lots of bedrooms and rooms so that I can host parties. I mean, the house just matches my dream exactly. And I've got a timetable that I design with very little need to ever be online at a set time. I just work when I feel inspired to. And I spend the day times in the forest with the kids, going walking. So mental health wise, this has been crazily good. It's been fantastic. I feel so well supported. I've got a number of coaches who help and guide and support me on a weekly basis, really. And but more than anything, I've just got the house, got the space, got the setup that really supports my mental health. And for me, that's very much being able to exercise every day, being immersed in nature, having the time to really meditate every single day and spend quality time with my children or friends. So self-care wise, I feel very well supported. Now, I feel very privileged to have created this because this is a reality that it just felt so out of reach. at one stage of life, going back years, I didn't even think it was possible with OT skills. And I just had no idea that I could design this dream and then just take one giant step and just walk into it. And obviously there's more that went into it than that. But, that's literally how it has been, that I designed it. I talked about it. This was my dream. And now I'm living it. So it doesn't mean that being on the inside of this dream is perfect. It's absolutely not. I've still got sick kids. I've still got times when things go wrong. But when these things happen, I do also have a better support network, time, and space to look after myself. So there is always fors and against for everything you do. I really thought that the freedom lifestyle was for other people who'd chosen a different career path, maybe. I'd got no idea that there were ways of using skills I already have and turning them into high ticket offers. And of course, I needed to gather more skills to be able to do this. So when I designed this life, there was a time lag between designing it and it becoming a reality. But one of the biggest things that helped me was watching others go from what I classed as normal to free, and to actually watch that other people, just like me and you, could flip their reality and create a life that they absolutely loved instead. I love that I don't need the word busy in my life anymore. I'm productive when I need to be. And there's no need for me to feel pushed or rushed or anything like that, unless I want to, unless I feel like, I'll thrive a little bit off the pressure of setting a deadline. But I set my own deadlines. And what I really like even more is being able to take other people on this journey, sprinkling hope, showing them what's possible, and really showing people how to break their own self-imposed limits, to realize that the reality they think they're stuck in doesn't have to be a dead end. It's an absolute privilege to be able to help other OTs and other people in creating their own reality, their own life of freedom, however that looks to them. And just to help them take the steps forward into creating this life that they feel inspired by, that feels aligned. So I'd love you to take some moments after this podcast episode just to check in with how you are feeling. It would be interesting to hear how this episode makes you feel, and just ask yourself those questions. Why? It might trigger a whole range of emotions, and it's important to allow space for these to come out. Really listen to yourself and check in with your own life plans and where you're at with your life. Are you happy with your current reality? And are there any changes you would like to make? And if you want some more support on this, there's a whole host of free trainings on my website, which is beckyekins.com. So feel free just to download as many of those as you see fit. And if you need more in-depth help, obviously feel free to send me a message. If you are an OT with 3 to 10 hours per week spare, then the OT Yourself to Freedom membership is best for you. It will teach you how to create a business, an online freedom style business, but in an affordable way. And this is best for those of you who haven't got the time to really go for it. If you have the time to go for it and you want to achieve bigger results in a short space of time, what you're looking for is the OT Freedom Collective. This is for OTs who've got 10 hours a week or more and you're just really keen to get big results. That's where you're going to be closely supported by our team for a 6-month period. It will be intensive. You'll learn everything you need to create this freedom style business. And the biggest word that people say about it is that it's life-changing.